welcome Lowco sports fans to another live episode of the Lowco Diamond Dudes. We're talking baseball and softball here in the South Carolina Lowcountry, and today's show is presented by Homegrown Home Inspections, the official home inspectors of Lowco Sports. Good folks looking out for their clients to ensure they go into every real estate deal with their eyes wide open. I'm Justin Jarrett, joined as always by Wes Kerr and Coach Ned Mullis. And fellas, we have a heck of a show lined up today. We got Patrick Henry, ace Charlie Sauls waiting in the green room, hopefully not eating all the snacks. And he'll be jumping in with us here in a few minutes. And then Coach Jarrett Broughton, your buddy Mullis from Full Count Advisors, going to join us in the back half of the hour, put things into perspective as far as recruiting goes and help us navigate the new NCAA recruiting rules. So that's going to be a fun conversation. But first things first, let's get to the headlines. And we got region champs crowned now in Region 7 4A. Went down to the wire. Everybody had to take care of business last night, but Colleton clinching the softball title, May River earning a split with James Island. That opened the door for Colleton to win it outright. Great performance by the Sharks the other night. They lost game 2 to the Trojans last night. And then James Island beating your boys, Mullis, in a couple of competitive games. I mean, good battles. They executed, in some big spots and got the job done to win that region title. Hilton Head backs into the number 2 seed despite getting shut out by Lucy Beckham last night. Colleton and Bluffton had a couple of really good pitching duels, and I'm not sure what the tiebreaker is there. I know Colleton posted they're in the playoffs. I'm guessing whoever didn't get that 4th seed is going to get an
at-large.
Yeah, they're both going to be in. And then Hilton Head Christian Academy snapping their skid last night against Patrick Henry, which had been red hot. But that's because Charlie Sauls wasn't on the mound, and we're going to have him on here in a minute. But breaking down the headlines, guys, I think we kind of thought Colleton and James Island were the 2 best teams as far as softball and baseball go, and they rise to the top. But it was fun getting there.
We talked on parity going into this season, and a lot of close matchups. We saw a couple of upsets along the way, but I think the best teams ended up on top in both Region 7 4A and both softball and baseball to have a James Island team that has been a stellar group throughout these last few years, and they're just a well-oiled machine, and certainly did face a little bit of adversity along the way, but got on top against a very strong May River squad, 8-4. That was a very, very competitive game, despite the Trojans getting some runs. That was a softball game. The baseball game was 4-1. But either way, still a very competitive contest. And Osborne getting the win on the mound for the Trojans. But they've got a strong pitching rotation once again. So a lot of timely hitting from that James Island group, but good for May River to stay in this game. Tyson Brasington gave them all they hoped for. Struck out 5 strong innings pitched on the mound, so very good outing for Brasington. Just couldn't get the timely hits on that May River side, but a great battle there. Good pitching duel between Brasington and Osborne over their baseball side. And tough day for Hilton Head. The bats could not get going. They left a ton of guys in scoring position. I think around over 10 runners were left in scoring position, did not come around to score last night. So just couldn't find a way to bring runners home. But for Hilton Head, you still lock up that 2 seed, so you still got a chance in the playoffs. And that it's going to come down to what you can get on the map. I thought Connor Wendell battled. He gave him a strong effort, but just wasn't enough to come out back bats, especially late. So. I think Hilton Heads, they've got a talented core. I really like the way that Jake Richardson swung the bat. Ethan Russo has been a reliable guy at the plate. The defense is always a big factor. Can you make those routine plays? I thought Lucy Becker did a great job of doing that. For a team that was out of the race, they were defensively sound and did not make many mistakes at all, if any. So I think defense is always a key when we get into the playoffs, especially at this level. We talked about especially Hilton prep side, but I think it rings true for many of our teams to play strong, clean, defensive baseball, and so that's a big key. But Hilton Head, that's a scrappy team that's going to fight you in every pitch you're going to make. They're going to work long at bats. That's that Joe Clock mentality that we've seen this year. I mean, these guys will battle. They'll find ways to get on base. So it's a tough team to go up against. But at the same time, a little bit of inconsistency over the last couple of weeks. But, small sample size, hard to really see much about that. You just got to find a way to reset and get ready for the postseason, which starts on Monday.
Yeah, Mullis, you got to see that up close and personal, right? You guys gave him 5 or 6 outs a couple of times, and it'll snowball in a hurry when you're playing a good team like that. And
Well,
they put pressure on you. They make you make plays.
you know, we've been laughing about the baby Sharks all year. That's baby Trojans too. They start 2 freshmen, and they're good.
That's worrisome.
I was a whole lot more confident about it until I found out them boys were freshmen. You know, they do it right. They do it right. And that kid last night, that lefty, is as good as advertised. You know,
yeah, gonna go join Bennett up at
I'll
Newberry.
tell you what, who else really
guy.
impressed
We
me?
battled. That was one of the better. I really like where we are going in the playoffs.
How about Colleton County baseball though? Shutting out Bluffton 3-0 after the Bobcats got that
hey,
walk-off win.
did y'all? I mean, in that
Colin
little picture,
Crosby.
who's
How
the
about a 4-hit complete game shutout for the Cougars?
who threw the second game?
Crosby.
Cohen Crosby, complete game shutout, allowed just 4 hits, struck out 4. No
I think
walk.
he's the guy that closed our game.
That may be.
He outdueled Martucci. I'm very impressed by this Colleton County team. Very impressed.
I tell you what, they can do some damage in the playoffs because of that format. They've got a bunch of arms. Like they don't have like Varner's the ace, and he's not maybe the top, elite caliber guy, but he's awfully good. And then they got about 4 or 5 other dudes that are pretty close to that level, and that's kind of what it takes when you get deep into that thing, and you got to win an elimination game.
Or something. I mean, they
Oxner, yeah,
Oxner.
He's got a live arm. Yep.
Woo.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. But
I tell you,
speaking of live arms,
and that first kid can beat anybody.
Varner's, he's legit.
Yeah.
The Carpenter kid's good. Farnsworth throws hard. Like they got a bunch of arms down there. So speaking of live arms, we got Charlie Sauls waiting in the green room. So let's get him in here. The star from Patrick Henry, headed to Bob Jones University. Charlie, welcome to the show, man. Excited to have you on here.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all for having me.
Just take us through a little bit what this senior season has been like. I mean, you got a great bunch of guys out there on the farm having a great year. You got the commitment and signing stuff out of the way, the recruitment stuff out of the way, and the pressure's off now. You get to play ball. What's it been like this final season at Patrick Henry?
Oh, man, it's been awesome. Since the beginning of the year, we've always been playing with the same group of guys, and now a lot of us are getting older, and a couple of us are seniors and stuff. But yeah, starting out the year, we were struggling for a little while, and then we finally started catching our groove a little bit. We've been winning some games lately, but yeah, it's been a roller coaster. But yeah, we've been getting some young guys pulling up and different people missing different games, but we've had a ton of different young guys step up, and it's been huge. It's been a lot of fun.
It's been a whirlwind for sure as you close out this season. Tell me about why you made the decision to choose the college you will attend to play at the next level.
So this summer we were playing ball and having fun and stuff, and towards the end of the summer I was starting to get a little bit of attention. And one of the coaches from Bob Jones, he just started calling me, and I got a super good connection with him. And he had everything I wanted, good Christian school and everything. So I was talking with him and through him and stuff. And one night I was just kind of really worrying about it and stressing about it. And I was praying that night. And the next day their coach called me and talked to me and just assured me that he's there for me every single step of the journey. And that was the exact sign I wanted to go to. And since then I've just been talking to him and had a good relationship with him. And I just can't wait to get up there and start playing.
Get in there, Moss.
Oh, yeah. I had a couple questions. What's it like playing at the farm or pitching at the farm? Because that's not a pitcher-friendly yard.
Oh, no. Yeah, it's awesome.
Keep it down, Charlie. Keep it down.
Yeah, Coach Wayne Brown, he loves it. He's been doing a great job keeping it with the field and everything. And yeah, we recently got this sign, the Welcome to the Farm.
I love the sign.
Yeah, I think y'all called it the Field of Dreams, and that's perfect. It's awesome out there.
Hey, you wait till that corn gets up here in a couple of weeks. It really looks like.
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
It really is heaven over there. Got to get to a game before the year's over. Maybe in the playoffs, I'll be head over and
Who,
we can have all of us on Team Lowco can come together and watch a Patrick Henry home game. So really excited for that. But tell me about that strong performance that you had against HHEA. 11 strikeouts to shut out the Eagles. What worked so well for you against the HHEA squad?
Oh, those guys, they've got some studs. They're y'all know the Bird kids. Those kids are scary when they're hitting. So I guess really me and the pitching coach have just been kind of talking through their lineup and trying to get maybe some holes or something, because there's a ton of dudes in that lineup that can swing it. So I guess really just at practice in the bullpen before that game, we were working on different things for different guys so it'd work out. And yeah, we were just focusing on different situations with different guys, because if you miss your spot against a couple of those dudes, especially at our field, they'll let you know and they'll put that thing a long way. So we're just working hard on mixing speeds and not letting those guys know what's coming, because if they do, they can do some damage for sure, just like they did last night.
What kind of pitch mix you got?
Tomorrow, right?
Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Mullis.
Y'all get your draw
Skeezer draw comes out tomorrow, playoffs. You guys know who you play in the playoffs yet? Don't know yet?
No, sir. They might have come out. I'm not sure yet. Our coach,
I think it comes out tomorrow.
I don't know what's going on yet.
You never know with Skeezer.
As well for Skeezer. What I saw.
What was that? What Mullis?
Playoffs start Monday, from what I heard.
Who did you play for during the summer?
I play with USA Prime, Coach Mike Roby, super good coach. But
where's that out of?
Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, okay, good.
Yes, sir.
Tell us a little bit more about your baseball journey coming up. I'm sure you've been playing for a long time. Got started playing travel ball young and all that stuff. But when did you get into it? And what's kind of the evolution? When did you know that that was a sport for you? Did you play other sports growing up? All that kind of stuff.
So when I was I would say I really got into it when I was probably like 9 or 10. And the cool thing is I've always been playing with this group of guys at Patrick Henry, like the Ferry twins, Chandler Brown. We've always been on the same travel team and stuff until we were about 13 or 14. And then after that, that's when you really get into like the big time summer ball, going to these big tournaments in Atlanta and Florida and all over the country and stuff. But yeah, when I was, I think 15, I got put on a team with my summer coach right now, Coach Mike Roby. And he's just made me love baseball like nothing else. He's like, this past summer, I lived down in Atlanta with him, and we've just had a summer team and been able to go play and have fun. And yeah, there's nothing like that summer ball, just getting to be close with a group of guys for 2 months and talk to them for the rest of your life. It was awesome. So really, since I started playing in these, I guess, big travel tournaments and stuff, and just getting with a group of guys that you get to know with and play with all summer, I've known that I love it and I want to play at the next level.
Those lasting relationships, that's one of the most valuable things you take out of baseball. The friendships are unlike any other sport that you make, because a lot of times you're playing with those kids since youth, little league, and going to Dick's Youth Baseball, whatever it is, and then you just keep playing throughout your high school career, and certainly bittersweet at the end, but just lasting relationships that you remember for the rest of your life. And take me through your stuff. Tell me about the pitch repertoire that's worked so well for you this year.
So far this year, before the season, me and my pitching coach were working hard on. I've always thrown a little bit of a loopier breaking ball. So before the year started, we were working hard on a slider, just something a little bit faster and in between. So this year, I've been leaning heavy on that, between fastball, slider, curveball, changeup, mixing in that changeup more and more. But just working a lot on. I guess I've always been able to kind of lean on. I've thrown a little bit harder, so I haven't really had to lean on throwing pitches in certain spots, but especially working on that, because with playing some of these guys, Clemson commits and stuff like that, you miss a spot, you throw a ball at their chest, they're going to hit it 400 feet.
What's the highest you've been on a gun so far?
I was up to 87 right before the season started, but I haven't been clocked this year.
All right, so probably running it up there more, closer to 90 now, I would say, after you got stretched out. I think
the threshold. Justin, it's above.
Yeah, well above the threshold, especially in Skeeza. There's not many guys who can catch up to that. But how much does your strategy, the way you pitch, change from Skeeza high school ball to summer ball when you're playing in the big tournaments and those lineups are a little bit longer with guys who can really hurt you. Do you alter your method of attack a little bit, pitch backwards a little bit more, or is it pretty much the same? You're the same kind of guy?
Yeah, a little bit, but just going out there, I want to feel like I'm the guy every single time. And until they can prove that they can just, I guess, get to me, then I'm going to attack and just throw strikes. And whenever they start to hit, then I'll start pitching backwards. And that's in high school ball too. You get a group of guys that can really swing it, you'll have to start pitching backwards to them. And just until they prove that they can, I guess, hit me and my stuff, then I'll just attack. And that's just through summer ball and high school ball, really.
Yeah.
What's the improvement that you've seen in terms of your control, your command, getting ahead of counts, paying the zone? How's that improved for you this year? And how's that training kind of helped you to have that pinpoint control, to put yourself in a good situation to, have the opportunity to get those strikeout pitches in?
Yeah, it's important, especially to get ahead in those counts early. But at the beginning of the year, I was struggling hard throwing first pitch strikes. And when you get those first pitch strikes, that gets you in those strikeout counts, and especially gets you deeper into games. So whenever you're controlling the ball and throwing balls for strikes early in the count, that's a big difference to a hitter whenever you start the count 1-0, 0-1, 2-0, 1-1. So it's just important to get ahead, and that's what really allows guys to get deeper into games, because when you're getting guys to make weak contact when they're down in the count, or maybe making strikeout pitches early in the count for the pitcher, that's huge whenever you can get a guy to go 5-6 innings just because they're getting guys to swing at the pitches they want to swing at, not what the hitters want.
Amen to that. Get ahead, stay ahead, right, Mullis?
I'll tell you something about Patrick Henry, too, that I think is something that is a huge advantage for y'all. It's such a good community aspect. You've got – I'm sitting here texting a buddy, Grant Yeomans.
Yep.
And I said, on a podcast with Charlie Sauls, you got anything you want to know about him? And he said, he seems like he's a really, really good kid. But the thing that sticks out to me is he's dedicated in the gym.
Oh, yeah. I see him in the gym.
Let me tell you something. You want to be good at the next level? Be dedicated in that gym.
Amen.
Oh, that's made huge difference.
And
probably the biggest difference, especially
you can't, and especially now with pitchers, that's come full circle. It used to be, well, you don't want them getting too tense, you don't want to get them too strong, tightens them up, and that's not the way it is anymore.
No.
And but that's a really good start when you get that text. You're off to a great start.
Well, you don't need them to be big, muscle-bound, weightlifters. You need them to have a strong core and
Rollis Chapman.
But I mean, like they don't need big, bulky biceps necessarily, but they need to be strong and wiry. Yes, absolutely. I mean, look at Bennett Romer. Bennett Romer from May River, who's in Newberry now. I mean, gosh, that kid transformed. He's a giant now.
We'll get to them later. I got to bring up some stuff about those guys later. But who do you think? How does that Skeezy? Do you know how that works out? Do you have any ideas who y'all might draw, or how does it?
Yeah, who's your biggest competition?
Don't y'all split now? Like you won't have to play Christian in those guys, will you?
No, sir. I think. Yeah, I know. There's a few regions. One from the upstate. I don't know very much about them. And then I don't know who we've got yet, but there are definitely some other good teams in that other region. Like I know Calhoun's solid, Dorchester's solid, St. John's has got some good guys. But I know there's a good bit of teams. I don't know who we've drawn yet, but I'm hoping because we've got some good arms. So I think this 3-game series throughout the week, I think that'll be pretty good for us because we've got some guys who can go out there and compete on the mound.
No question.
Did they play doubleheader and then
versus? I'm sorry. Approaching tournament baseball, where you have
go ahead,
so much room for error because when you lose 2 games, your season's over. How do you approach that? Similarly, or how do you approach that differently from what you see in a normal regular season or a showcase event? How do you stay locked in, and how do you just rise to that next level when you get to postseason or tournament baseball?
I definitely feel like as players, we just go at it knowing we're going to do everything we can to win every single game. I know as coaches, there's a lot more that goes into it, whether it's planning out different guys' pitch counts and stuff. But I just know as players, we're playing the same game every way. As we're going to go out there and try and beat the team just as bad as we can, and just really let the coaches handle who's going to pitch when, who's going to play where, on what days, and just all that stuff.
Yeah, they plan, you execute.
Yep, that's right.
Do they still play a doubleheader at home, and then if you lose one, you go on the road? Is that still how they do it? Or do y'all play a true 3-game set now?
Yeah, I think it's a 3-game set, and it I know the top seed gets the home game, and then the lower seed gets the second game at home, and then I don't know if the third seed's at the home side or a neutral game, or I don't know.
Because I never liked it when you had the doubleheader at home and then had to go on the road if you lost one. That's how they used to do it in skis, and I thought that
I didn't like that either, because I mean it's hard to sweep a doubleheader, and then you got to play on the road for the rubber match. That's
it's almost like you're better
seed.
off being the road team, but I think that's
Right.
why they changed that.
I think so too. And I think you're right that they did change it. So, well, we look forward to definitely, seeing you guys in the playoffs, and hope to get out to the farm to see one in person if I'm not coaching that night myself, and either, travel baseball or rec softball. So definitely plan to get out there. But Charlie, what do you plan to study at Bob Jones? And what do you hope to do before your time's up at Patrick Henry?
Yeah, I'm going into sport management and minoring in youth ministry, hopefully at Bob Jones.
Nice.
But I'm just hoping that me and these guys can hopefully get that ring and just make some more memories and just enjoy it, because this is going to be some of the most fun times. And I'm ready. It's bittersweet. I don't want it to end yet, but I'm just hoping that we can go out there, win some more games, stay hot for a month or so, and just hopefully win. But
Biggest
I'm
advice
excited.
for an underclassman who's about to go through the recruiting process?
Oh, definitely go where you feel like people want you to be there. Because I know there are places where you can go and you're just a cell phone number, or you're just a number in their system. But I've really emphasized I want to go somewhere where I can go to the coach if something's wrong beyond baseball. Just go somewhere where the guys want you, and you're a true part of their program. They want to grow you just way more than just baseball.
Well, I'm going to give you the advice I give all our pitchers that go to play college. You got some running shoes?
Oh, I've got a buddy up there now who used to pitch at St. John's, and he said they always run. They stay running.
Get you a good pair of running shoes and feel like you can run a half marathon about the time you show it. No, I'm just picking. Now, just being that, be ready to run. Be ready to run.
Yep.
I think that's the biggest shock for most guys when they go into college is, leave your bat at home and be ready to run.
Yeah.
You might get to take BP a couple times a season if you're lucky.
Hey, usually you get pitcher BP if you win. So you win the game, you get pitcher BP the next day. So
you do a real good job shagging on most of the other days.
You'll be good. It just hey, and I'll tell you one more thing. Every guy that's ever come home, they always say the same thing. You're gonna get banged up a little bit, but don't let it bother you. Pitch right through it. Pitch with confidence. If you can pitch in that you pitch that over there. But don't get up there and get nibbling. Go right after it. And like I said, you can get hit a little early, but you'll pitch right through it.
Yes, sir. Always.
You learn how to miss them bats. Well, thanks so much, Charlie. We appreciate you taking time with us, man. And congratulations on a great career, great senior season, and best of luck the rest of the way. And up at Bob Jones, we look forward to seeing what you can do, man.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all very much. Thank y'all for having me.
Congratulations.
All right, we're gonna take a quick break to hear from our sponsors, and we'll be back to talk more baseball and softball and talk with the NCAA's about the NCAA's new recruitment rules with Coach Jarrett Broughton from Full Count Advisors. He's probably eaten up all the snacks. He's been in the green room forever. You're watching the Lowco Diamond Dudes here on the Lowco Media Network.
Hey, Lowco sports fans. This podcast and all of our grassroots local sports content are made possible by support from community sponsors, including Mickelson Law Firm, the official real estate attorneys of Lowco Sports, and the presenting sponsor of our Hilton Head Christian Academy coverage. Our original sponsors are still among our greatest supporters. Ryan and Tiffany Mickelson are community pillars who will be in your corner no matter your legal needs. When you need legal representation, call on the attorneys who support Team Lowco. Call Mickelson Law Firm. Hospice Care of the Lowcountry, the official hospice provider of Lowco Sports, and the only not-for-profit hospice in southern Beaufort County. For more than 30 years, the committed, compassionate staff at Hospice Care of the Lowcountry have been there to ensure your loved ones find comfort, honor, and dignity at the end of life. Because at Hospice Care of the Lowcountry, it's not about dying, it's about living. Homegrown Home Inspections, the official home inspectors of Lowco Sports. Jan Lucas and his team provide thorough, detailed home inspections aimed to ensure everyone goes into the transaction with open eyes and confidence. Jan would rather reveal an inconvenient truth than look the other way and provide reassurances that could come back to burn the buyer in the long run. If you're looking to buy or sell a home and need an honest, reliable inspector, call on Homegrown Home Inspections, official sponsors of Lowco Sports. DDS Web Design, official SEO experts of Lowco Sports. If your business or organization has a website and you're trying to figure out what SEO is, you need to call on Denise and Dave Sinkovich at DDS Web Design. They'll provide a free consultation and do all the behind-the-scenes work to boost your search engine optimization and get your website found online so you can take your business to the next level. DDS Web Design, official SEO experts of Lowco Sports. American Wood Reface, sustaining sponsors of Lowco Sports. Does your kitchen need a facelift? Before you start picking out new cabinets, give Ben and the team at American Wood Reface a shot. They can reface your existing cabinets to overhaul your aesthetic without the hefty price tag and reimagine your kitchen at a price point you can manage. Be sure to tell them Lowco sent you because every referral helps support Lowco Sports. 4M Metals, sustaining sponsor of Lowco Sports. Got metal? Your roof might need it. Metal roofing advantages include better energy efficiency, weather protection, longevity, a more aesthetically pleasing design, and the product is all green. So if you've been thinking about a new roof, go metal. Let 4M Metals be the difference in your roof. Jay's Barbershop. It's the talk of the town and the place to be in Ridgeland. If you need your ears lowered, head over to Jay's for a fresh cut and great conversation with good folks. And tell them Lowco sent you. Local Pie, official pizza sponsor of Lowco Sports. They sling some of the best pies in the Lowco, and my kids say the mac and cheese is the best around. Hungry? Hit up Local Pie, longtime supporter of Lowco Sports. Barefoot Floor Care of the Lowcountry, the official floor cleaners of lowcosports.com. If your feet tell you your floors need cleaning, call on Barefoot Floor Care of the Lowcountry. They provide residential and commercial services, including cleaning carpet and area rugs, tile and grout, upholstery, curtains and drapes, mattresses, and more. But most importantly, they'll get those floors so clean, your feet will thank them. Barefoot Floor Care of the Lowcountry. Hilton Head Prep is a sustaining sponsor of Lowco Sports, and we tell you all about the Dolphins' athletic exploits. But did you know it's also the #1 ranked private K-12 school in Beaufort County and ranks in the top 2.5% of schools nationwide? Visit hhprep.org to see what Hilton Head Prep has to offer. Beaufort Academy is a sustaining sponsor of Lowco Sports, and we love covering the Eagles. With a student-to-faculty ratio of 7-1 and an average class size of 14 students, Beaufort Academy could be just the educational solution you're looking for, with more one-on-one attention. BA has a strong history of working with the whole child to prepare each student for college and life. Check them out at BeaufortAcademy.org. Thank you to all of our sustaining and supporting sponsors for their support of LowcoSports.com. Go Lowco.
All right, we are back on the Lowco Diamond Dudes. Justin Jarrett joined by Wes Kerr and Ned Mullis. And thanks so much to Charlie Sauls for joining us, as well as to all of our sponsors. Fellas, Charlie Sauls, he's a real deal. He's a good kid.
Yeah, I mean, all around a fantastic young man who, has the right mindset, good head on his shoulders, and he's grew a passion for this game. Just love to hear the friendships that he's developed and all the memories he's made over here in Lowco. And it would be really cool to see him go on that one last ride, one last run with those guys here at Patrick Henry. I think they're building something special over there, and I think he's been the rock solid biggest piece of it with his success over there on the mound. Obviously, they're going to go as far as he can bring them on the mound if he can continue the effective performances that we've seen. But with this realignment, it gives more chances for some of those other schools to make deep runs. And you look at what Patrick Henry's done in Class 2A. Obviously, there's some talent across in these schools, but I think the way this tournament play is looking, if you can set the tone with Sauls on the mound and then find a way to get hot at the plate and stay out for a couple of games. That's what it's going to take. But a bright future ahead. I mean, great to see so many of these young men are in their way to playing, college athletics, and it's an honor, no matter where you go, to be able to get the opportunity. And he's certainly earned it. And just a fun young man to talk to. Great academics, great work ethic. He gets it done in the gym. The extra effort is always so important, and he provides that for this Petroni team. And it's been a fun team to cover, and I hope they can take this thing deep into May.
Yeah, I mean, Hilton Prep's 20-3, and that dude beat him twice. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. Speaking of having a head on your shoulders and knowing what you want in the recruiting process, we got a special guest joining us now. We got Coach Jarrett Broughton, former college baseball coach, now on the other side of things, helping recruits find their way. And Coach Mullis and I were just talking the other day about the new NCAA recruiting rules, and I said we should talk about it on the show. And he said, "Oh, I know who we got to get on. We got to get JB." So thanks for jumping on with this, man. And, first things first, I guess, kind of give a little bit of background on, your baseball journey and where you've coached at and how you got to the place you're at now.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Thanks for having me. Right after I was done playing in college, I grew up in the Midwest. I was a junior college product, played junior college for my first 2 years out of high school. Went to go on and play at the University of Dayton in Ohio. Was really fortunate to play on some great teams. I played in the Junior College World Series. I played in the NCAA Regional, won the conference tournament, won the regular season in the Atlantic 10 Conference. So was really blessed to play on some great programs. I come from a family of teachers and coaches, so transitioning into coaching was just something that I felt like was kind of a natural path for me. I bugged coaches at Earlham College until they called me back. I had a connection through my college coach with a real small school in Richmond, Indiana, Division III school, super high academic, liberal arts college. Started there as a young hotshot assistant. And spent 3 years there. Got a chance to go down south to Piedmont University in Demorest, Georgia, which is in, kind of up in the North Georgia area. Spent 3 years there as associate head coach there. And while I was there, I got hooked up with Greg Starbuck, who is now the assistant at UNC Greensboro. But at the time, he was, the volunteer coach at Clemson. And my athletic director at Piedmont knew him really well. Started working camps for Clemson, working camps for Monty Lee. And when Greg Starbuck left, Monty Lee called me up and offered me a job to come there as his assistant. So I spent 3 years there. My first year was the COVID season, which was very interesting to say the least. But spent the last 3 years there, and then obviously with the coaching change that happened there, and kind of they went into a different direction. I took a job at Winthrop University for this past fall. Spent a semester there, but really just decided to transition into something new, just personally, and thought I'd use my expertise and my experience and my reputation, my network, to be able to help players and families through this recruiting process. Because as you guys know, it changes all the time. There's always things that can, get thrown into the loop that are, new rules, new legislation that can, drastically change your experience through the recruiting process. And what I'm learning, and I knew this through the recruiting process as a coach, but kind of being on the other side of it now and working more with the families individually, that every family is at a different spot. Every family is at a different point in terms of the exposure that their son has gotten, the exposure that their son needs. And really, I just try to specialize in trying to get to know these people and help them find the right fit for them.
Well, I think that's the biggest thing is understanding what their priorities are, what their values are, and determining what kind of school you need to be looking for as far as a fit is 3/4 of the battle as far as I'm concerned. There's a place you can play, But we have to figure out what boxes you need checked, and then we'll go find the programs that check those boxes. So,
well, Coach, tell me more about why you took this job and what you enjoy the most out of it.
Well, I mean, you guys coach and have been around the game. You know, being an assistant for 10 years across the different levels. I mean, I lived in 4 different states. I moved probably 7 or 8 different places. I had a fiance, and we ended up breaking up. So, you know, the game of baseball and coaching lifestyle is difficult. And, you know, for me, it was just, I felt like, you know, it was just my time to step away from the game as a coach and to do some other things and to, you know, prioritize my time and doing something else. I think I even told Ned this on the phone last night that, you know, I love baseball. I love to coach, but I didn't necessarily love my lifestyle. I didn't necessarily love my life in general. So, you know, now I really enjoy what I'm doing on, you know, this recruiting side and helping people, because ultimately that's why I got into coaching in the first place, was to help others, you know, use the game of baseball to help people and to help players, just how much people, you know, and coaches helped me over my time. So, you know, to answer your question, Wes, it was more of a personal decision for me. It was just that it was time for me to take a step away from being in the dugout and, you know, be able to kind of transition and use my experience in the recruiting process of being in the trenches as a recruiter and as an assistant, but also my experience in player evaluation and being able to give people an objective, you know, evaluation of their son whenever I come watch them play, and to, you know, like Justin was touching on, to really dig down into, okay, yeah, where can this kid play? But where's the best place for this kid to play based on what his interests are, what the family's interests are, you know, geography, where does he want to be, you know, and everything in between. So that's, you know, to answer your question, Wes, that's kind of why I transitioned out of the coaching side, but I still wanted to be involved in baseball, and so this was kind of my angle and you know, my path to continue to be in the game of baseball.
It's yeoman's work when it's done right. I mean, there's a lot of recruiting services out there that, you know, you sometimes don't get what you're promised, but when it's done right and you've got that evaluation piece and the personal relationship piece, and you're really trying to drill down to what is the best, you know, decision for this kid's future. It's so important, you know, to have somebody who understands that process.
Folks are vulnerable.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. You know, they get caught up in the dollar amount of scholarships and not look at the bottom line of what you're actually going to spend to get that degree versus the value of that degree. And, you know, I mean, there's a lot of stuff to consider, and to have somebody who understands the ins and outs guiding you through that process is invaluable. What are some of the biggest pitfalls that you find for families, or some of the blind spots, the things that families don't understand when they first come to you, that, you know, frequently asked questions, if you will?
Sure. I think the first thing is okay, so where do I start? You know, how do I get a hold of a coach? What's the best way to reach out to a coach? What's the best platforms that coaches use? What's important for me to make sure that I have my son do in order to get in front of coaches? And I think that for every kid that's different, and that's why this process is so challenging, I think. But for me, it's all about creating some type of personal touch. I think that anytime a player reached out to me over my 10 years, and I'm sure you guys can understand that coaches get inundated with emails on the daily about players that are interested in their program, and how you set yourself apart in that is having a personal touch. Do some research on the coach, do some research about the program, know who they played, know what kind of year they're having, give specific reasons on why you're interested in their program and their school. And instead of just giving out a mass email kind of feel where it's a dear coach, you know, I call it a dear coach email. You know, I get that all the time. You know,
sometimes they copy paste and forget to update the name, or, you know, I would love to play for the Crusaders and you're the Eagles.
Right. No, and you know, us as coaches in that fraternity, I mean, we joke about that all the time. You know, you can tell when a kid's taking time to, obviously, do some research on the program. I think a lot of people ask about video a lot too, to answer your question, Justin. What kind of angles do I need? What kind of video? Do I need a professional to do it? This, that, or the other. What camp should I go to? That's another huge question I get. Hey, we get invited to 1 million camps. How do I choose which one to send my son to? And just try to give people advice on, hey, go to camps where a coach has personally invited you. If a coach personally invited you there and you have interest in that school, then that would be a good investment for me. Go to a camp that's got multiple coaches across multiple levels. There's a lot of camps out there and a lot of programs that is just a money grab. They have 200 kids at it. Trust me, I've been a part of that gimmick. I was a volunteer assistant coach at Clemson. I needed no help to sell out our camps. All I had to do.
And that's how you get paid. That's how a volley gets paid, by the way.
That's how I paid for my rent, man. So it was, for me at that time, it was, I was just trying to get as many kids as possible, and try to, and that was less of I would say a recruiting camp.
Right.
Sure, we had players there that I'd say a third of the players there that were players that we had seen. But the majority of that was really to build the camp business and to help, supplement me as the volunteer coach. And I'm glad to see that the NCAA is finally smartening up and that they're changing that rule as well. And that, young coaches like me that get their foot in the door at the Division I level, don't have to rely on, 8 to 12-year-old kids coming to a, summer camp in order to pay their rent. So I think
you get benefits.
And you get benefits. Yeah, of course. There's a lot of positives about that rule, and it's been a long time coming, and I'm glad to see that it's going that way. But yeah, I think that those are kind of the main questions that I get is, what are the first steps? How do I handle, responses? How do I handle, is this response a generated response? Is it personal? What kind of camps, video, you name it, man. It's a A to Z process. And some people are in the middle of that. Some people are at the beginning, others are at the end. And it's my job to get to know these people, really vet them and be able to understand what they're looking for and where they're already at in the process as well.
Well, I think the thing that I've seen in parents over the years is they don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
And the first time you tell them 25% is a lot of money, they look at you like, what? My kid's not getting a full scholarship? No.
This isn't Alabama football.
This ain't football. They think everybody's just loaded down with 35 scholarship, with 11 and a half. And they percentage it out, and people just have a hard time grasping that concept.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And how much when you look at variables, grades, just your performance, in academics in the classroom, how important is that to compared to maybe some other sport? To just how much does that play a part in the importance of doing well in the academic setting in some of these decisions?
I think that's why that's one of the first questions that any coach asks a kid or another coach that works with them.
Always the first.
What's his GPA? Because of the scholarship limitations that the game has, with the way that the scholarships are designed, having good students is critical in order to make it affordable or make it even an option for a kid. Because I think that, like Ned said, do the math. There's going to be 40 players. Going from 35 to 40 to 11.7 scholarships, and the minimum you can get is 25%. I mean, it's a really challenging, thing to maneuver as a coach. But if you have a kid who, has a, 30 ACT and he's a, 3.8 student from a good high school, I mean, now that kid is much more valuable. That kid is much more attractive to a program because I think too that a lot of times, and this isn't always the case, but the way a kid works in the classroom a lot of times translates to how hard they're going to work on the field. If a kid really works hard in the classroom, really is a very sharp guy, a stand-up guy, has great makeup off the field. A lot of times those are going to be your guys that come early, stay late, good teammates, come from a good family. I think those things go hand in hand. So to answer your question, Wes, I think it's incredibly important. It can only close doors for you if you don't do well in school, in high school. I think that the more doors you can open for yourself as a student, I think the better chance you have to find the right fit for you.
Yeah, no question. And if you fall behind on that stuff, it's hard to catch up. And they start asking early, sophomore, junior year, they want to know what that GPA is. It's
What
tough to
are
make
the
it up
new
on the back
rules?
end. Yeah, I was going to say, can we dig a little deeper into the new rules for folks who aren't staying abreast of that? What are kind of the highlights there?
Sure. Well, the biggest thing that changed, and I'll start with this, that the majority of coaches across the country voted for this to go through. So this is a majority,
positive move by and large.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Positive move. In the past, it was September 1st of your junior year was when there could be two-way communication between coach and player. Now, the way that coaches and programs got around that for recruiting players before that date and time was that they would use someone else to have that player call that coach. And he can answer the phone. He just couldn't pick up the phone and make a phone call, which, again, there were so many ways around it. They would go through summer coaches. They would go through high school coaches, whatever connection they had with that kid or any angle that they had to that kid to get that kid to call them was the way that it was done. And that's how these freshmen, eighth graders in some cases, sophomores were committing verbally before that date of having that two-way communication. Right. Now the NCAA has done away with that one-way communication and has really just brought it down to, okay, we're going to move it up a month. We're going to go from September 1st to August 1st of their junior year, but there will be no one-way communication involved before that, where in the past there was a loophole where you could use others to create that one-way communication from player to coach. Now that can't happen. That now a player can't call a coach and the coach answer and them talk about recruiting until August 1st of their junior year. And here's what I would say is going to change in the whole process is that, number one, I think that players are going to end up going where they should go more often. I think that summer coaches and the summer programs are going to have to start coaching these guys up more. They're going to have to start teaching them the game. They're going to have to be more polished by the time that they are juniors in high school to be ready to play at a very high level. And the window of time that players are going to be committed is going to be shorter. Mm-hmm. So coaches are going to have to do a better job of getting out on the road, seeing these guys multiple times, not just making decisions on players based on, well, so-and-so has already offered him, so now I'm going to offer him. So that way he doesn't go there. Now,
monkey see, monkey do.
How this new rule kind of impact the development of the player, say an eighth grader or freshman, compared to what we've seen in the past with this new guidelines?
Here's what I would say is gonna change on that is that players that would have committed early, and they're gonna have to do a really good job of continuing to develop. And I think that's what I saw at the highest levels at Clemson, is not just players in our own program, but other programs where a player would commit as a freshman. He then would maybe not have that chip on his shoulder anymore. He doesn't have that same work ethic. He doesn't have that same drive to continue to get better because basically
maybe he didn't grow.
Yeah, or he didn't grow.
Chips in the night.
He grew too early, right? Or he developed too early. And, it's going to give late bloomers a better chance now. Guys that aren't as developed as 15, 16-year-olds.
I think it
fundamentally sound guys who just haven't gone through puberty yet.
Well, I'll tell you what I think it does too is I think it protects kids because that decommit kills kids.
100%.
That early commit, he missed 3 years of recruiting time and gets decommitted before his senior season, and that class is probably already filled.
Yes.
Yep.
And you would hope that never happens, but it happens way more than you think. And one of the other things that I think parents, and kind of touch on this, JB, but I don't think parents understand what a commitment does. All a commitment does is start the process.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It does. It's
non-binding.
You commit.
That's right.
There's nothing binding.
Yeah, and I think the interesting part is that players that are committed right now that are younger than that August 1st of their junior year, they can't even talk to their coaches that they're committed to. That's what's really interesting. If I'm a freshman, I'm committed to Florida State. I can't pick up the phone and call Link Jarrett.
What's up,
Just
Link?
recruited me. I can't talk to him. I can't talk to him until I'm a junior. So
it's so silly to let them commit that early anyway. In today's college sports landscape, what are the odds that a guy's still at that school in 3 years? Pretty slim these days.
I think it was more so that programs and coaches were taking the rules that they were given, and they were trying to create a competitive advantage in any way that they could. And I think that it was at the expense of the player. And I think that this new rule, like Ned mentioned, I think is going to get rid of that, and it's going to start to empower these kids to make sure that they end up, going to where they should be going. And I think that you'll see a trend in the transfer portal. Less players will end up going in there and transferring because of this new rule in place. And it's going to just be a more thorough process throughout the entire process, I believe.
Yeah. Anything else for JB, fellas? We're getting near an hour, but I think we've got time for one more.
Well, I tell you what, I know the people he's been around, and he mentioned a couple of them. And if you can't learn from those guys,
yeah.
I mean,
well, we did play 6 Degrees of Monty Lee earlier, didn't we?
Buck's pretty good too now. I mean, I've known Buck for a long time. Buck was he's a North Carolina boy too. I knew Buck when he was at Winston-Salem Carver.
Oh man!
Before he even hit the college ranks, and then he was with Kennedy down at Elon for a long time.
Oh yeah.
Any other players that parents should be aware of throughout this new guidelines, this new process that could help them and could help the child in this seamless to make it more seamless in the future?
I think the biggest piece of advice that I would have for players and parents right now is that if you are younger than that threshold, that does not mean that you can't send information about yourself or have other people be advocates for you, even though they might not be able to respond or might not be able to, give you the instant gratification of that recruiting process or that interest. I think that you will still set yourself apart if you can get your name out there and get you in front of coaches as early as possible. I think that's going to be important to have advocates, people that are connected in the game, people that have a great reputation in the game, to get your name out there and help get you exposure without being able to pick up the phone and call a coach and tell them where you're playing. I think that you can still, do some self-promotion, as a player and as a parent. And I think that it's all about just trying to get people in front of you, get you in front of as many programs as possible this summer and going through this process. I think that the more that you can do that, and the more people you have saying good things about you, I think the better off that those players are going to be, because they're going to be one step ahead. Because again, the window of time is shrinking in terms of the recruiting process. So you got to be able to set yourself apart.
Yeah. And you got to get on the radar. I mean, just because they can't respond to you doesn't mean that they're not paying attention. And you'd love them to be watching what you're doing before they can even talk to you and already have an idea of who you are and what you're about. So, yeah, great stuff, man. We appreciate the insight, and it was awesome having you on. And I'm sure we'll rely on you down the road.
I appreciate it, guys.
More topical things to talk about. But thanks
I
was
actually at that May River James Island game last night. Drove down and watched it, and it was a really good high school baseball game. It's two really good teams, and I love watching Ned Mullis' teams out there. I know that those boys are at least coached up a little bit, you know?
Coach called a couple bad pitches last night, I think.
That was a good chess match last night, though, because you were going against your doppelganger over there, right? You had the two Spider-Mans pointing at each other as far as the pitch calling goes.
Oh, yeah, that daggone it. Heater. When I saw that damn music thing, I was like, oh, no. I mean, Matt Heath, one of the best pitching guys, hitting. He's the best baseball guy I've been around, period. But he'd call pitches off a music stand. And he kind of set it in front of him because he could move it around. And I always picked on him as he could replace that. It's kind of hard to replace a table when he throws it. But I saw that damn music stand last night, and I was like, I'll be damned. There it is. Yeah, it's going to be, I just went and started guys. I said, look, start looking soft early, hard late, and you better hit something on your hands. But that guy was good, too. I'll tell you what, that Coach Schmidt, our head coach, and Spivey, I mean, I tell everybody the head coaching around here is just solid.
Yeah.
And
in that region.
That's well coached. That's two good baseball teams last night.
100%.
You got some really good coaching up and down that region. I mean, you've praised Jermail Page at Colleton all year, Joe Clark, and you're right. You're right. The whole state. Yep. You're not wrong about that. So, well, JB, we appreciate you, man. We just got a few minutes left, and we got to give some shout outs to our Lowco gyms, but we'll definitely talk to you down the road.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
man.
Take care of Willie.
All right, guys. Let's wrap it up here with our Lowco gyms. Got about 3 minutes left. Who you guys want to shout out for their great performances this past week?
Cohen Crosby for the Colleton County Cougars, under the radar guy who shut out Bluffton 7 innings, allowed just 4 hits, no walks, struck out 4. I mean, complete control over a very talented Bluffton lineup. Very, very impressive for Crosby. And what a great week for Colleton. I mean, competing in 2 games and stealing one of them to, I believe, book their spot in the playoffs. I'm not 100% sure of how the
Lucy Beckham's not getting in.
Really?
But, I mean, heck of a performance from Crosby again, that Colleton side against Bluffton this week. And then I'm going to go to the softball side for my other shout-outs. And I might just go and pick the entire Colleton County lineup because the bats were on fire.
21 hits last night.
Chrissy Holmes, 3 for 5, the double, scored twice and put up an RBI back on Wednesday. And then also a good game on Monday against those same Bobcats. 2 for 4 with a double and drove in 3. So producing in both games at the plate. A big week for Chrissy Holmes for the Colleton County Cougars. So didn't plan it, but 2 Colleton County shout-outs this one.
Yeah. Mayor of Walterboro, Wes. All right, Mullis, you're up, buddy.
Softball playoffs start next week too.
Yep. Absolutely.
I have a hard time with the softball because I don't get to see a lot of it. Y'all know that, but what I do see of all the teams, those girls are good. I mean, you just get glimpses of it, and you're like, good grief, this is pretty high level stuff.
It is a fast game, brother. It is fast game.
I've been, Colleton County last week, unbelievable crowd for softball.
Yep.
Looked down at James Island last night. Unbelievable crowd for softball. Monday night, how many people were at May River Monday night?
It was jam-packed Monday night, and the softball side was really,
that's what I'm saying.
really
Both
packed
sides.
out.
It
was intense, great environment, and that was a great win for that young program too. Beating James Island the other night, scored 6 in the 6th. I'll shout them out. Kaylee Smith just battled all night long. They got 4 on her in the first 3 innings, and then she shut them out for 3 innings. And Olivia Nagel, the 8th grader, came in and got that last out, which was huge. I mean, coming in after playing first base all night, coming in and facing one hitter, and you got to get her to preserve the lead. That was asking a lot of a young kid, and she was up to the task, got a fly ball to right. So great performance, and the seniors all came up big. Avery Grieve, came up huge, and I love the little slapper, Michaela Landry. She's doing a terrific job for them. Obviously, Colleton, both teams, like you said, Wes, that was terrific stuff. And then Charlie Sauls, 6 2/3, 6 hits allowed, 3 walks, 11 Ks to beat Hilton Head Christian the other night. But then got to give some love to Hilton Head Christian coming back and getting them on the back end at home last night. 13-3. Ben Eddy pitched really well. Steel Bird went deep, and then Slade Bird. That dude's the future over there. He went 2 for 3, drove in 4 runs.
They're a different animal.
Good shortstop. Yeah, he's DHing right now. But that makes a big difference having him in the 3-hole. That lineup is a totally different animal when you got to get around him. So I still think they're a quality squad that could do some damage in the playoffs if they all pitch at the same time. Eddie has really developed. Hayden Brooks has kind of been up and down, but when he's on, he's really good. The Mickelson kid is a nice reliever. And then who's the one I'm missing? Crosby, the lefty. He's good.
Well, you got Prep sitting there, and Prep's what, 23-2?
20-3.
20-3. No, they ain't lost a lot. And, we won't know anything about them till tomorrow. I don't know the seedings yet, but Hilton Head should have a home game Monday.
Yep.
Yeah.
James Island will have a home game. I think we're going to be on the road at Hartsville.
Okay.
I don't
Never easy. Hartsville's always got some dudes.
Yeah, Colleton will be on the road.
I think Colleton's got I saw it earlier. I want to say Richland Northeast or something.
Or the at-large is out.
I just saw Colleton posted on Twitter who their opponent was.
Buford has. Now I tell y'all, if anybody wants to go see a good baseball game Monday night, Buford's got Gilbert at home Monday night.
Oof.
That'll be a
doozy.
Very good baseball game.
Yes, it will. Buford kind of reeling right now, but hopefully, they can get it back on the tracks for the postseason. They played such a brutal schedule the past month.
I think they've got.
They got Ashley Ridge Friday, right?
Yeah, tonight up there. But I don't know. It's probably 50-50 on getting that game in. Yeah. But that Gilbert game, that'd be a good baseball game because.
Heck yeah, well,
that's a well-coached baseball team right there. I think you go up and play Gilbert, and then you see a lot of them state championship banners hanging at that point.
Well, and you gotta love playoff baseball because everybody's throwing the best dude available every night, and
that's where playoff baseball gets fun. Who's pitching off Monday?
I know it. Man, I wouldn't do it. You got to win the first one. You got to win the first one. You can't.
I want to see somebody explain to Al Schmidt that we need to win the next day and not the first one.
No, you got to win the first one. Yeah.
You see it more than you think.
I know. They get cocky. It's a bad idea, though. You got to win the first one in a double elam. You can't screw around. All right, fellas. Well, we're well past an hour now, so let's call it a day and a show. But I thought it was a great one. Thanks so much to Patrick Henry Ace, Charlie Sauls for jumping in with this great young man with a bright future, and then Coach Jarrett Broughton, terrific insight, on the NCAA recruiting scene and the new rules and how they're going to impact folks. So love talking with those guys, and a huge thanks to all of our sponsors. And of course, the biggest thanks of all to y'all for listening and watching. Thanks so much for showing up to listen to some guys talk about baseball and softball. We appreciate you, and we'll be back to do it again next week. For Wes Kerr and Ned Mullis, I'm Justin Jarrett. Until next time.
Get Uncle Benny's table.
Go.